recently been in the news. There are now search warrants. The police are looking for something. What are they gonna find? Hey everybody, welcome back to the AB7 YouTube channel. I am so excited. I mean, you shouldn't be excited to talk about true crime, right? We are talking about one of my favorite artists of all time, and that is Tupac Shakur. Recently, there have been some developments in the Shakur case, and we're gonna talk about that towards the end of the videos. I loved Tupac Shakur when I was a teenager. My favorite song is Do for Love. You tried everything, but you don't give up. Tell me what your favorite Tupac song is in the comments. My tattoo is out. The first tattoo that I ever got, it's a rose growing out of concrete. The rose that grew from concrete poem really resonated with me at a dark time in my life. So I have always had a tremendous amount of love and respect for Tupac. With Tupac, we know that he had died at a very young age. It's been a few decades since his death. We know that Tupac Shakur was an iconic figure and a Goliath in the hip hop industry. His impact on society was global. People across the world celebrate Tupac still to this day, and many mourned his unfortunate and untimely passing. Tupac was one of those rappers that was cutting edge. He was not afraid to run around with his shirt off, thug life with the pistolas on his torso. At that time, the hip hop industry was experiencing some change. We were transitioning from the 80s to the 90s, and gangster rap became a thing. When he passed away, his albums continued to sell. His work is still remarkable and has an impact, an imprint on many artists in the industry today. To give him his flowers, I'm gonna actually read what his description says on Apple Music right now. Tupac is arguably the most influential rapper of all time. In fact, his closest analog may not be late rival Notorious B.I.G., but rather dorm room icons of the mythologized past, Jimi Hendrix, Bob Marley, and James Dean. Even if his legend has become a tall tale, his music remains a testament to the multitudes he contained. He was born Lesane Parish Crooks in 1971, but his mother, a Black Panther leader, swiftly changed his name to Tupac Shakur in honor of the last Incan emperor to perish while resisting Spanish rule. For much of his career, he embodied this revolutionary fight the power ethos in songs like Trapped and Keep Your Head Up, benefiting the Afrocentric, conscious-minded Milu of the early 1990s. But there was also a funkadelic player, I Get Around, and the insular loner in Me Against the World, the savage warlord in Hit 'Em Up, and the sensitive poet that we saw in Brenda's Got a Baby. As Death Row Records' strain of gangster rap defined the middle years of the decade, he became the label's avatar. Originally branding himself MC New York, Tupac incorporated influences from both the East Coast and the West Coast, not to mention the South, to create a universalist message and sound that explains why murals of him can be found all the way to sub-Saharan Africa. But you don't have to travel far to witness his impact. Tupac's influence can be heard in everyone from Lil Wayne, Kendrick Lamar, and Future. If Tupac were alive today, he would have just celebrated his 52nd birthday. He was with his mother. She was a single mom. They moved to the West Coast at some point. He also did a brief stint as he grew up in Baltimore. That's where he went to school for theater, and I believe that's also where he met, do you guys remember Jada? So he came up and really found an interest in the arts. Theater in particular, because Tupac did spend some time in the movies, on the movie screen. He was really, really into the arts, from being a poet to being an actor, while also being an accomplished artist. He spent so much time actually perfecting his craft. Eventually, Tupac found his way in the rap industry and signed with Death Row Records. At his peak, he was literally on top of the world. Now, here's the thing. His upbringing had a lot to do with the type of music that he created. And I'm using my phone, guys. I have my notes here. I always just take everything down on the Notes app, and it's super handy so I make sure I don't forget anything. But he had an outspoken personality. He was not afraid to you know, be a little revolutionary with lyrics, and also in media and out on the streets, like all of those things. He was not afraid to be an outspoken person. He was involved with social issues, but also political issues. If you think about what I mentioned before, this was really due to his upbringing and being a child of someone that was involved in the Black Panther movement. I think we need to talk about the East Coast, West Coast thing. So there was a feud. We all know how the feud started, but there was this rapper named Biggie Smalls who had altercations with Tupac over the years. It resulted into a lot of shooting incidents. Tupac was shot before. There were all types of shenanigans. He blamed Biggie and Puffy and everybody at Bad Boy. This started to escalate, and it escalated because Tupac was now making blatant statements regarding who shot him. There are so many conspiracy theories that have come out over the years about what really happened. On September 7th, 1996, Tupac Shakur was in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand watching a fight. Now, he was with Suge Knight. They left the fight and they pulled up to a red light. When they pulled up to the red light, another vehicle pulled up next to them and a shooter started to shoot into their vehicle. Suge Knight was injured. Tupac was also shot. Tupac didn't make it. Tupac went out with one of his business partners at his side. It wasn't with family members or things like that. It's somebody you do business with right there. Let's talk about the investigation of the death of Tupac Shakur. On the internet, we have seen many things over the years. We've seen crime scene photos. We've seen an analysis of the crime scene thoroughly swept. We've seen autopsy photos, which are just, it's a little, you know, I'm not even gonna put it on this channel because I was surprised that you can even find that on the internet. Like, can we respect the dead? So police began their investigation. They did a sweep of the scene in Las Vegas, and then they began to zero in on the suspects. Tupac's death was essentially deemed unsolved. In the summer of 2023, a search warrant was issued.
Move it around. Put your hands up. Sorry, you put your phone down. Put your phone down. Put your hands on top of your head.
Typically, when search warrants are issued decades after a crime has been committed, obviously a statute of limitations on certain things would play a factor, but it's typically because police received information that they initially did not receive at the beginning of initial investigation. If the investigation is ongoing and it's a cold case and the case is not closed, of course, they have the opportunity to reopen that cold case file and continue working the case. Now, the fact that a judge was able to sign that search warrant and the search warrant has been executed, I'm pretty sure that this is credible information in order for a judge to sign that document. Sometimes suspects or witnesses or individuals close to a crime may not give you information at the beginning, but if you put proper pressure on them, that information could come out later. There's some unsolved mysteries. We also have the surveillance footage from when they left the MGM, and this is what we saw. And I think the most important thing is, with today's technology, we have traffic cams and the like. I find it remarkable that even in 1996, no one was around to see what happened. No one was able to provide more details that led to an arrest sooner. Here we are in 2023, and this investigation is now yielding results. Whatever is in this search warrant, whatever is found, could potentially help, but there's also a risk that the police find nothing. So now that we know that Tupac's death was a mystery for a really long time, again, that cultural impact is just so important. He has literally had an imprint on this earth, dying at a young age, not even touching the age of 30. You know, one of my favorite songs is Letter to My Unborn. It's difficult to think that you would leave this place without having a family. So each of us, even me as a creator, it really makes you count your blessings because you never know when you're gonna go. Tupac was an artist. Tupac was an activist and inspired a generation of fans and artists to follow him after his passing. I saw this in the feed on all the social media platforms, and I was surprised that not many people are talking about it. This is huge. This search warrant could be a game changer for this case. We're gonna stay locked in, and of course I will be covering it here on my channel. So that does it for today's video. I hope you guys had a good time reminiscing on the past with me while also looking at the possibilities of the future and what this search warrant could yield. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section of this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.